All right. All right. All right, here we go. Hi, I'm Anaiis Salles, and with me we have today's Cynthia Aldrich, and we have Anastacia Townsend and David Foyil, and we are here. We are a soul group. We could talk about the difference between a soul tree, a soul family, and a soul group, and a soulmate, and a counterpart, but I don't think we want to do that today. Although we could, maybe there'll be time.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of want to lay out what our framework reference is for these conversations that we have with Meeting the Beloved. We have had a long history together, either timeline-wise, or in some instances, Anastacia and I have known each other for what 25 years now, 30, so just say 30 years. And we have a variety of people who we have found and connected with in the physical from our soul group, which you could distinguish from a soul family as the people that you may be engaged with in your primary family dynamics would be your soul family. Your genetic lineage, your emotional patterning, your social neural network information is coming from your soul family. Some of your soul family may intersect with your soul tree. Your soul tree is, in a sense, if we were going to look hierarchically, which isn't real, everything is in circles. But if we were going to look hierarchically, your soul tree is the bubble of co-creation and manifestation in whatever realm domain of co-created realities that monads, the first emanations from source, generate. So your soul tree is downline. I guess I could show the picture, right? Your soul tree is downline from from your monad. So here's a really nice guidance card for people who like cards. I'm doing card readings now, but this gives you like, okay, let's consider this is this big golden circle is your monadic emanation that begins here. And this monadic emanation is made up of divine masculine and divine feminine doing their co-creative thing. And they create universes and all kinds of cool stuff. So your soul tree is a direct domain. It is a field of densities. It is an organization of consciousness that you could call them your parents, maybe your divine parents, right? This is it. This is the soul tree. And from this soul tree, you're gonna get your, where's that one? There's one that's a soul family. Okay, so I don't know where that is right now. But anyway, now here it is. Okay, so you have soul, you see how this is soul family?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and this is soul tree.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe this artist has conceived of this differently. But for me, this, if you can see it, there's a person here. There's a singular person here. the step down in energy from here, from here. Now, mind you, lines don't apply in this information at all. It's really a pity. I don't have a big circular map here. But, okay, monad, soul tree, which your monad has generated, and stepping down and stepping down and stepping down, right, from this energy, more step downs in energy, more, to individuation. So your soul family are the incarnated, individuated containers of consciousness, bodies, species, whatever, that has all of this fabulous, go do it, go be it, bring back the information, oh, go do it, go be it, bring back the information, which, nope, wrong one. Oh, here, creating space. This is what we're doing. We're expanding creation. We're creating space. Divine energy, source energy, divine masculine and divine feminine are creating, they're just creating more and more space and space for stuff to happen.
Experience
And consciousness and evolution and woo, okay. So that, I didn't think we were going to explain that, but we did. Okay. So, in the process of individuating, oh Lord, in this experience that we're in, right? The 3D construct. Because things have gone awry. In case you hadn't noticed. Things have gone awry. And our individuations now are being impacted by a lot of frequency. Here we go. Energy and frequency are the same thing. And frequency becomes information, and that information as frequency is encoded in our DNA, so we can actually translate frequency into coherent forms with which to work with our individuated and group consciousness. Right? Okay, good. So we're talking about this because in the 3D construct, for those of you who are still maybe bumping up and down from 3D to 5D in the ascension journey and having a rough go, and golly, we know what that feels like, right? It's a frequency experience. So as you are in your ascension journey, and we hold sacred union process as a key part of the sacred union ascension journey back to source. It's a blended context. So you can't be in sacred union if you're not connected to source. You can't. You can't be in sacred union if you're not connected to your heart, because your heart center is where you experience source in your body consciousness. So if this is shut down, the heart's shut down and you're not connected to source, totally possible. You're not on an ascension journey. You're in a drag race, which is really not going to be fun. Okay, so.
Getting dragged.
Yeah, you're just getting dragged.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting dragged around. So we wanted to talk about how recognizing your own pain body, your emotional pain body, and recognizing what feels like a sensation of something you may not be able to describe happening here in this part of your body that feels good. Let's just leave it at that. It feels good. It feels loving. It feels kind. It feels accepting of you. It offers you acceptance, right? And so that's a really major part of, imagine that your pain body, well, what example shall we use? Shall we use the cicada that drops its whole outer shell, making all this noise, and you can hear them this time of year where I live. You can really hear them droning, 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 droning. They don't have brains really, but they drone and drone and drone and drone and drone. And then in the droning process, they, like insects do, they metamorphose and they drop their complete shell. And they become another version of themselves. A butterfly is different because a butterfly or moth, they spin a cocoon, and all of that transformation happens inside the cocoon, which they weave themselves. Okay, now the cicada drops this, and I can walk around in my garden and there'll be this little empty shell of a bug. How have you seen it? It's really interesting. Empty shell of a bug, and there's no more bug in there, and they're just kind of laying there on the sidewalk wherever you find them. Complete. It's a complete shell. So I'd like you to think about that as your pain body. That living in the 3D construct from the moment you were born, with the frequency dynamics that happen in the 3D construct, you were constructing an entire shell around you. Complete. And you are, by the time you're 20 years old, you're completely encased in it. And you think that's your life. Okay, it's not your life. Now, here's the thing. What's unfortunate about that is that shell, which you didn't design yourself, this is an imposed design feature for human consciousness. You didn't design that, but you're living inside it, you're stuck inside it, and you're making all this noise like the cicada droning, and it's not getting you anywhere. And it's not liberating you from this containment shell, which if you don't get out of it, you're going to die. And when you die in it, don't do that. Don't die in your pain body. Don't do that. Okay, so here's the thing. So when you're living life in your pain body, it's an energetic dynamic. It is a frequency dynamic. And the awakening journey that we're in right now is Source coming in, tapping every freaking cicada and just going, get out. Get out. I want you back. I love you. You can't feel it. You don't know anything about it. Get out. Yeah? And Source pokes a hole in the shell. And when Source pokes a hole in your shell, what happens first is you start releasing, the first thing you release is pain. So when Source pokes that hole in your shell, which is a kindness, because he's like, okay, you can't get out yourself, I'm going to help you. Yeah. The first experience you have is just that you're surrounded by pain. There's pain everywhere. You can't feel a part of yourself that doesn't hurt. And what you are going to wake up to is that is not you. Okay. So the ascension journey is, the first thing is the poke in the shell. And now you're throwing off all this pain. Now, what will happen next is Gaia. If you're really, she will poke a hole in you somewhere. And your physical reality will crash. You won't recognize it. You're like, what? What? Right? Yeah. Oh, now they keep doing this because real life, and if you want to think of eternal life and source spark life, the life that is your birthright, you've got to drop the shell. And if you're aware of ascension, and you know that we have beautifully orchestrated gates of consciousness that we need to expand into and grow into and move toward as embodied containers of consciousness, of unconditional love. So if you haven't dropped your shell, when you drop your shell, your heart just starts like, whoa, you have the heart opening experience. That's noticeable. And things stop hurting as much. And your subtle energy bodies organize, and now you're kind of waking up into what your real situation is. Okay, so today we're going to talk about your pain body, and we're going to talk about how the holes feel when they get punched in you. Oh God. And how it feels when you start spewing out all the stuff that's been the toxicity that's being held within this shell that you can't really. There are a tiny fraction of people who can do this process by themselves. Now, and then when they drop their shells and they're walking around, they stop making all that noise. And no one knows they're there. The whole cicada population is completely unaware of them because they're not making all that noise anymore. There's no resonance. There's no co-resonance anymore. That's scary. Okay, shall we leave it there? I think that was a good introduction.
Really good.
Really good.
Really good description.
Okay, so let's see. Let's go. Let's let Anastacia talk about pain body, and then Cynthia pain body, and then David pain body. And I don't really need to talk about mine. I'm sure we'll have enough information, but I could if we need more. All right. So if you can think about it as a structure and you can describe it, whoops, oh, okay. I didn't do anything. I went like that. I didn't, oh, don't do that again.
We can still see you just fine.
Okay, but.
What?
No, the computer, no.
Weird.
No, it's not weird. It's just what's happening now. I gotta really be careful what I do with my hands.
Hmm. Whoops.
Yeah, I don't, no. Stop, computer. Okay. Okay, Anastacia, I'm sorry.
No worries. um, yeah, when you're speaking about that in that particular way, which I think is extremely helpful description, I arrive at the place where I got that hole poked. And I can definitely say every part of me hurt. Every part of me hurt. It hurt so much, most emotionally and physically. Like I would try to go to sleep and the pain would just wake me up.
Yeah.
And I knew that I guess some part of me knew that I was just cracking open. And it was really hard. It was really hard. And I went through that several more times. And each time got easier. Each time that I went through that, it just got, at some point I could go to sleep while experiencing it and not be woke up by the pain. I just observed each time, okay, this is getting better. There was long periods in between those things happening because it's almost like you just get another, impulse that triggers it again so that you just keep dropping it. Um, yeah, and it definitely completely changed my life at that point. And I noticed the relationships that I had within that pain body were also, those were the things that were falling away. Like they're eventually even trying to make them, no matter what I did, the frequency was matched. It was so off that there was just no relating anymore. It didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter how hard I tried to connect. I couldn't. So that was several years. And if I didn't want to listen, things would immediately get worse. And to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm listening. What do I need? What do I need to see here? What do I need to do?
How do I need to be more conscious?
Yeah. Yep. And that's a vague description, but it was very real. And several years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at some point in that, which was really cool, I may have been going through these frequency mismatches in terms of relationships falling away, but my pleasure current opened, and I was at least starting to have this sense of pleasure in my body that was actually, to begin with, very difficult because you have to get used to that. Having pleasure in the body, it's not what we're used to. So even that feels it's great, but it's not pleasure like you would think, not pleasure like we're used to experiencing, maybe. Yeah. Did you have a thought?
Yeah, you question it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like what is this? What is this?
Yes, because it kind of feels like the pleasure we had as children just playing.
Exactly.
And it kind of feels like the pleasure we have when our erotic urge takes us into sensual pleasure,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. It's
Not
not.
the same. Which is that's unexpected. Right? Because even in the sort of the 3D construct, you might more associate it with the idea of, okay, well, if I did Tantra and I practiced really hard, this is where I would arrive. But no. Yeah. Nope, that's not it. It's not the same. So all the years in all, being in that creating life from a pain body, I kept thinking there was some idea of something I wanted, right? And just thought, oh, I'm kind of too lazy to go do that anyway. But then and I'm actually glad, I'm actually really thankful that I was, if it was too lazy to go do that.
When you say that, what do you mean by that?
My concept of what I need to go do in order to create that kind of pleasure in my body, to set off the idea that we're given around Kundalini experiences and erotic, pleasure and all those things that somehow ignite our spiritual connection, right? I mean, that's the idea in my mind behind doing Tantra and all those things, is to connect, but to also be, spiritual in that connection.
Okay, can I just pause there? Cynthia, I swear to God, we're going to let you talk. But I think it's really good to unpack this stuff.
Yeah.
So in the awakening experience, Kundalini is snake energy.
Right. And it's wrapping around the chakras.
It's wrapping around your chakras.
Yeah.
Now, what it is also doing is it's wrapping around your chakras and it's traveling up, that's a really very interesting experience. I haven't quite had that one. But then it does eventually, that energy will come to this place. Why? Because it's the terminal point. It has to come here. If it's you're going to direct it and travel it up and breathe and the terminal point is here.
Yeah, even if it takes years.
Even if it takes years.
Even if it gets stuck somewhere for a while and then ends up.
Yes. Now, what happens as this is going on is that it's hitting all of the main structures of your pain body. And it is enough energy to blow those open as a function of your chakras.
Oof.
And that is what is known as the Kundalini related psychotic break and the spiritual emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, because it is not the straight, clear shot up and out. Immediately, the connection to source, which is straight up your bliss channel. There is no snaking of energy.
Right.
Zero. None.
Right. And I think this is important to talk about because these were concepts I had inside that shell that you're describing.
It's part of the shell structure for you to have those concepts if you want to try to get out.
Exactly. And of course, I feel like it's an impulse for us to get out of it. Even if we're not conscious of it, it's our impulse to figure out how to get out of it. Certainly was mine. But what I'm thankful for is that I never actually sought that out. And I think just in terms of my soul, I probably had lots of lifetimes of doing that and misusing the energy anyway. And so there was something in this lifetime where I had some kind of gate on it that said, not this lifetime, honey, you're not doing that.
Been there, done that, didn't work out.
Right. So that's not where you want to go. It's messy. And so I think that's why I never ended up doing it. And I'm grateful that I had some kind of governor on it, unconsciously or not.
Yeah.
Because now I feel it's very different to have the experience outside, breaking out of that shell and as I'm breaking out, and it naturally just occurred, and it wasn't some big Kundalini experience. It was just like, whoa, what is this? And I could feel it in my center where I would, if for me, the concept was core essence.
Yeah.
And it was coming from the core. And it grew from there. I feel it more up this way, and then eventually more down, out towards the earth, but certainly not, like, again, I would not describe it as erotic.
No, but it's pleasurable. And initially, the movement of that current is the awakening of your core essence that is source.
Yeah.
And the first place it's going to take you is here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Because once this connection is made, then the poking holes becomes a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Okay, good.